It's an early day today, guys. It's 8:48 a.m. So, good morning. We're going to do this early today because today's kind of packed. It's kind of also impromptu because I just closed the doors on the happiness strategy, and we had our first class last night, and it really brought up some interesting things, both for the students there, but also for myself. And a lot of times, what I focus on here, I'm going to get that shared to the community. Boom, there we go. Hi, Misha. So a lot of times what I talk on is inspired by what my clients, students, myself, what we're experiencing here, right? And today it's a little bit about perfectionism. Because perfectionism is an outgrowth. It's a symptom. It's not actually something you have to target directly. That's one of the big challenges I found in dealing with perfectionism is I kept trying to target the perfectionism, which is to stop it, try to heal it, right? Get rid of it. And really what was showing up for me was more perfectionism because I'm trying to fix the perfectionism perfectly, right? Perfectionism is a symptom. It's actually a component of the transactional value element that we are immersed in both in our society and especially if we're dealing with narcissistic relationships or we're codependent, our value is highly transactional. What that means is we earn our love. We earn our worth. So someone's approval equals I'm worthy. Someone's rejection equals I'm worthless, right? For me to be lovable, I must be loved first, rather than I'm lovable despite what other people do. Our value is not what I call innate or intrinsic at that point. Well, perfectionism is an outgrowth of this transactional experience we've had with our sense of worth, our sense of safety, our sense of lovability, our sense of desirability, and social worth, social value, right? And this really came up strong for me yesterday because the THS, the happiness strategy, it's the first time I've taught it in a group format. And that can be a little intimidating. You're doing new things. There's a high risk of failure. There's a high risk of problems, disappointing people and stuff. And it really brought that up for me. And so it inspired me to do this little training on perfectionism today because if you've dealt with codependency, you probably are dealing with perfectionism too. And I want you to know that it's okay. It's okay to have that racing brain that says, I've got to do it all right. And if I don't do it all right, I'm going to be worthless. They're going to hate me. And then everything will burn down. It's very catastrophic, typically. It's very, very extreme thinking. That's what my brain was thinking. And it's okay. Hey, Lori, nice to see you. It's okay to be a perfectionist. The less you resist your perfectionistic impulse, the more you can go towards its healthy opposite, which is called creative impulse. It's where we get into curiosity. We get into a willingness to fail, a willingness for things not to work, a willingness for things to break it down, a willingness to discover. That is the key here. See, because if we're going to move from transactional worth, being valued for what we do, to valued who we are, which is innate worth, we have to give up controlling outcome and we have to learn how to receive it instead and nurture our value despite the outcome. We have to separate them. And that can be a real that's a challenge sometimes. And a lot of the reason why is because we've been traumatized around our value because of how people reacted to our mistakes or to our limitations. I mean, how many of you guys have been attacked because you made a mistake? Either emotionally, verbally, or even physically attacked because you made a mistake. Or even worse, you did something in a way someone else didn't like. Even though the outcome worked, they didn't like how you did it. Right? In my childhood, one of the most blatant experiences of that was cleaning the bathroom. It wasn't that I cleaned the toilet and then cleaned the sink with the same cloth. No, that would have been a valid problem. It was that I didn't wipe the right way. Like right to left. It's that I used 2 cloths when I should have used 1 cloth. One for the sink, one for the toilet. It was that I did the toilet first with 1 cloth and the sink with a different one. See, it was bizarre to get criticized and told that you're stupid because you didn't do it their way. That's what motivates this shame and this anxiety that drives perfectionism, is the irrational responses and expectations of other individuals, especially people we're powerless to, like parents or school authority and things like that. One, you might have experienced this in your school experience. I had a teacher that literally would put your name on the board and punish you if you sniffled. If you sniffled, really. It just makes no sense. So this is what gets us scared to do us, scared to discover, scared to make mistakes. Because other people have been harsh. They've been unrealistic. They've blamed us for what they feel. They expect us to fix their problems when in reality the problem is in their yard. So perfectionism is a result of being attacked or harmed, and discipline was unhealthy. Like, yes, we make mistakes, so you don't have to be yelling at me for it. You don't have to threaten me because I made a mistake. It's more like, oh, let's try it this way. Or this way works better. Try it out and see for yourself. It doesn't have to be this big war. So I want you to understand that perfectionism isn't something that you can actually heal by addressing perfectionism. You actually have to heal it by addressing the trauma behind making mistakes, and then retrieve your value from transactional worth back to innate worth, and discover who you are beyond transactional worth, beyond what you do. So like in last night's class, we were talking about transactional worth, and I asked people, what do you do, for your life? Who are you? And they're like, well, I'm a coach. I was like, I'm a coach. I'm a computer professional, or I'm a mother. I'm a dad. I'm this. We're talking roles. We're talking transaction here. We're talking things we do. And then I said, well, then who are you outside of that? And people were just like, and that's important because we haven't been taught who we are. We haven't been trained to tune into us, to access our feelings, our thoughts, our points of view, our value, voice, and vision, to really know our beingness, right? And that's the solution to perfectionism, is to be ourselves and to embrace curiosity and to give back to those who would harm us or attack us for mistakes. Give their pain back and say, hey, I see you've got some real pain around this. I bless you. I hope you'll work that out. It's not to internalize it, but to return it with empathy and say, I get it. It's scary to make mistakes. Please, I'm going to put a boundary here. I don't tolerate that kind of approach with my mistakes. In the future, please approach me this way. That kind of thing. So we can help establish a clarity with them about what we expect and what works for us in interaction with people, and then we can stay or go depending on what they do and what we want to choose with that relationship. But fundamentally, perfectionism isn't something you have to be. It's not something that was ever realistic for you to accomplish. It was not reasonable for you to be expected to be perfect. Another component for perfectionism, especially if we're dealing with narcissistic parents, is you were expected to be an adult as a child, right? And that would come through the term of, you should have known better. Why didn't you understand that? Like, I'm 6. How would I understand that? I'm not born with innate knowledge. It doesn't exist that way. It's total mind-numbing, crazy making. But my parents did it all the time. You should have known better. I'm 7. How would I know better? How am I supposed to know that? You're the parent. You're supposed to teach me. This is teaching moment here. And so that also drives perfectionism, is this expectation to know things that you can't possibly know, right? So yeah, This is how I break free. Lori says, my father would snatch me around. Yeah. Yeah. You make a mistake and you're getting physically hurt. Guys, mistakes don't... healthy people don't respond to mistakes with abuse. Verbal, emotional, physical, or any other type of abuse, psychological. They don't do it. Healthy people are like, oh, that's a mistake. Let's talk about it. Let's see what happened there. Oh, we see what this is going on here. Let's try this over here. Let's do this. Let's try this and see what happens next. In high school, I was the team lead for the network support system. And so I did that a lot. I would sometimes, if my cohorts did not know something or they made a mistake, I just say, hey, try it this way, so let's see what happens. Then they learn. It's not about me being right. It's not about them being wrong. It's about let's discover what works. Even if I already know it works because I've done it before, I want you to discover it works. It's not about me being a know-it-all. It's about you discovering and understanding what works for you. And that's how I tend to approach that with my clients, my kids, my students, and often with myself. So guys, perfectionism, you don't have to be it anymore. Retrieve your value from that transactionalism. Start tuning back into your innate worth. And also legitimize the heck out of the pain you've been through. That pain, that anxiety, that dread of making a mistake makes sense, especially for what you've been through. It's a natural response to have when you've been abused for making a very normal thing, also known as a mistake. So when you give yourself permission to make mistakes, you give permission to other people to deal with it. They can go and deal with their feelings. These are adults. They're not children. They can deal with their feelings and grow up and learn to deal with mistakes. It frees us up to grow and discover and do things and ultimately fail so that we can succeed. That's my message for you guys today is let's go out there and be an imperfect. Let's enjoy it. Let's embrace our curiosity and our creativity instead so that people can have a taste of our brilliance, so we contribute that to the world. We can really embrace the value, voice, and vision we truly be. It's the magic of us. So in our brilliance there. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more training on exiting codependency and dealing with narcissism. Remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping, and have a great day, guys.